Bear down, ladies and gents, and welcome to this edition of the NFL Daily Chicago Bears Report here on Chat Sports. I'm your host, Eric Tate. Now, follow me on Twitter at DTater4 for all of the latest news and rumors regarding the Chicago Bears and really for all things NFL. Now, on this episode, we're going to be taking a look at 12 free agents post the NFL draft that the Chicago Bears really should strongly consider bringing onto their roster for the 2019 season. Now, with Tuesday's deadline having came and went, free agent signings moving forward will no longer count against the compensatory pick protocol set by the NFL. So now would be a real opportune moment for the Chicago Bears to look to add a free agent if they do indeed want to make a splash here as we enter the 2019 season. Which actually brings me to my first audience question of this video. Seeming that the Bears have one of the most complete rosters from top to bottom in all of the NFL with no glaring holes to speak of, I want you to go ahead and sound off in the comments and weigh in down below. What do you think the biggest need is for the Chicago Bears heading into the 2019 season? I imagine there's not going to be a shortage of answers just saying the word kicker in the comments, but I do want you to go ahead and let me know what is the biggest need for the Bears to complete this roster heading into 2019. Or you can just say, look, they're good to go. They're going to bring down the championship for the first time since 1985. If that's an answer, then go ahead and let me know in the comments as well. Now, as we go ahead and jump into my list for the top 12 free agents that the Bears should consider signing, here's a quick snapshot of the salary cap situation for the Chicago Bears. Now, according to overthecap.com, the Bears have just over $17 million in cap space available to them to go ahead and play around with, but you got to kind of keep some money available, especially long-term. You got to lock up Cody Whitehair and Eddie Jackson. So I imagine that all we're really going to see here, if the Bears do make any additional moves, is maybe a one-year rental with a big splash player that can come in and contribute this year in 2019. So my number one priority, and I'm going to go ahead and preface this, my list, the first three players are going to be interior defensive linemen. And the reason being, first off, you can't have enough dominant interior defensive linemen. But second, and more importantly, I want to keep Roquan Smith absolutely squeaky clean. I want him to be able to do his thing from sideline to sideline. The man already proved that he can be one of the most effective tacklers in the NFL just in his rookie season, and he didn't even come into this season really fully up to speed due to that holdout that he had in the preseason. He still finished 13th overall in total tackles as a rookie. So if you really keep him clean and just have a lot of space eaters up front, that's going to help Roquan Smith really reach his potential and even higher heights in his sophomore season. Now, don't take any of these suggestions to be an indictment on the current interior defensive linemen that the Chicago Bears currently have, namely Akeem Hicks, Eddie Goldman, and Bilal Nichols. They all had fantastic seasons in their own right, but bringing on a guy like the number one guy I have on my board is Ndamukong. I still think that he is an elite player against the run. He fits this system very well. He can line up in the 3 technique, the 5 technique. You can even line him up as a nose tackle over the center. He's very versatile as far as what you can do, and you still have to respect what he does, specifically against the running game. He was still graded out as one of the higher defensive tackles in the NFL against the run. Now, he's not as dominant as he once was during his years in Detroit. Certainly the sack numbers are not going to be there, but when you have Leonard Floyd and namely Khalil Mack on the outside handling most of the pass rushing duties, you don't need Ndamukong to come in and be the dominant force that he once was in Detroit. He can still come in and be a nice piece of the pie as what can just already be the best defensive rushing unit in the NFL. Just to add a guy like Ndamukong, the rich get richer. Now, Bears fans, while you're tuning in to find out the rest of my list, of course, make sure to subscribe to Chat Sports on YouTube at youtube.com/ChatSportsTV for all of the latest Bears rumors, news, and all offseason notes heading into the season for 2019. Now, the number 2 player on my list is Muhammad Wilkerson, a defensive end, but also, look, when he was a New York Jet, and those were some of his best years, namely in 2015, the last time that he made a Pro Bowl and finished with over 10 sacks, Muhammad Wilkerson is a player that you can line up all over the defensive line, and he is disruptive when he is healthy. Now, of course, it's been a while since he has been healthy, and of course, he's coming off of an ankle injury that he was put on IR after only playing 3 games last year for the Green Bay Packers, but he's still someone that fits this system, and certainly you can go ahead and rotate in and can be a difference maker as somebody that is completely unsigned. Now, granted, we'd be taking a chance on him, but that's why you're getting him at a discount, because if this guy is healthy, Muhammad Wilkerson is absolutely a stud and someone the Bears should consider picking up heading into 2019. That brings me to another defensive tackle on my list. Coming in at number 3 is Corey Liuget, formerly of the Los Angeles Chargers. Now, Corey Liuget was released by LA mostly as a cap casualty, but he's really had a rough go out of the last couple seasons. He served a suspension for PEDs and then tore his quadricep that landed him on IR to finish the 2018 season. Now, look, Liuget is still under the age of 30, and he's had some productive seasons earlier on in his career there with the Chargers. Of course, it's a little concerning that the man has been very unproductive the last 2 seasons, some of it being to do with injuries, but he does fit what the Bears want to do here. Now, he's played in a 3-4 scheme. That's what he's played in for most of his career, but he did prove capable of playing in a hybrid 4-3 system as well, so he doesn't really need to be pigeonholed to specifically one place, but he's not going to bring you much as a pass rusher. But again, another body that you can throw in there to keep Roquan Smith clean. I would like to get Corey Liuget at a bargain if we miss out on Muhammad Wilkerson or Ndamukong Suh. So that brings me to my next audience question. Go ahead and type in the comments which defensive lineman you would like the Bears to sign. Type S for Suh, type W for Wilkerson, and type L for Liuget. We're now moving on into the secondary. My number 4 player to pick up for the Chicago Bears is going to be cornerback Orlando Scandrick. Played last year with the Kansas City Chiefs, and prior to that, a ton of years with the Dallas Cowboys. Despite the Kansas City secondary being absolute trash last year, Scandrick actually had a pretty solid season and actually graded out pretty well, defending 13 passes and nabbing 1 interception. Look, he spent most of his career in the slot, and the Bears were unable to re-sign slot cornerback Bryce Callahan, who was having a pretty nice year last year before getting injured. So I really would like to see them bring in Orlando Scandrick to compete with Buster Skrine and, of course, the new draft pick Duke Shelley. So Scandrick is somebody that I definitely would like to bring on board. Just he brings a veteran presence that you can bring in nickel or dime situations. And speaking of the secondary, I want to stay in the secondary and talk about the number 5 player on my board, which is Trey Boston, the safety that was with the Arizona Cardinals last year. I'm surprised this guy is still on the market, to be honest with you. He's flying under the radar, and specifically, he's at least had 79 tackles each of the last 2 seasons to go along with at least 3 interceptions. Seems to have some pretty nice ball skills, and the man will come up and put a hat on you. Just ask Brandon Cooks from last season. I really like Trey Boston. Given that they only signed Clinton-Dix to a 1-year kind of prove-it deal, we know that we're going to have to throw a ton of money at Eddie Jackson here moving forward. So I'd like to see them sign Trey Boston to maybe a team-friendly 2-year deal. So if it doesn't work out with Clinton-Dix, then we can have at least an insurance policy so we can kind of bridge the gap and figure out what else to do, because Trey Boston can play. I've got another audience question for you guys. How many regular season games will the Chicago Bears win in 2019? Last week, Vegas came out with their initial lines saying that the over-under for Bears wins in 2019 is set at 9 wins. So go ahead and let me know in the comments how many regular season games you think the Bears will win this upcoming season. At number 6, it's going to be Ryan Schrader, the right tackle, formerly of the Atlanta Falcons. Look, this guy has been a staple at the right tackle spot for the Falcons over the last 4 seasons. He had a little bit of a down year, but it was a big deal that the Bears were able to re-sign right tackle Bobby Massey this offseason. So I just want to go ahead and add some quality depth behind the tackle spot. So, you can never have enough offensive linemen. The Bears did add an interior offensive lineman in Ted Larson, an NFL journeyman, in the offseason. Why not add Ryan Schrader, who has a lot of experience at the right tackle spot? At number 7, I'm flipping back to the defensive side of the football. Outside linebacker Nick Perry. You guys are likely familiar with him with his days over with the Green Bay Packers. Now, Perry has shown some signs of some flashes where he's actually been a productive edge rusher there for the Green Bay Packers, namely in 2016 and 17. He registered 18 sacks in only 26 games. The Bears are very familiar with Nick Perry, so there's nothing wrong with getting a little bit of proven pass rushing depth to kind of back up Leonard Floyd and Khalil Mack. And speaking of edge rushing depth, Shane Ray is the number 8 player on my board. Now, Ray is kind of a curious case, as his career seems to have come to a complete halt or just fall right off of a cliff. It started off moving in the right direction, got 4 sacks as a rookie, then doubled that output as a sophomore in his sophomore season with 8 sacks, but he's only gotten 2 sacks combined over the last 2 seasons, and really the Denver Broncos selecting Bradley Chubb was kind of the kiss of death for Shane Ray in Denver. So I wouldn't mind seeing the Bears take a kind of a flyer on Shane Ray, specifically, again, same purposes as Nick Perry, just to give you some high quality proven depth and really some upside behind the 2 bigger names in Leonard Floyd and Khalil Mack. Now, follow me on Twitter at DTater4 for all of the latest Bears news, rumors, and all things NFL as we move into my number 9 player, and that is the former All-Pro Eric Berry. Now, why is Eric Berry so low on this list? One, because I don't see him going anywhere that he is not going to be able to start. So, I mean, the fact that the Bears signed Clinton-Dix to a 1-year deal doesn't really feel like it's a good fit with Eric Berry. However, if this guy can pass a physical and he is healthy, this dude is better than Clinton-Dix all day, every day. So that's really the only justification, is that this guy is a 5-time Pro Bowler and a 3-time first-team All-Pro. And if he's healthy, I don't care who you signed. Go ahead and bring in Eric Berry. The dude is a difference maker. Now, Bears fans, please make sure to go ahead and subscribe to Chat Sports on YouTube at youtube.com/ChatSportsTV for all the latest Bears rumors and news all offseason. At number 10, I have the wide receiver / running back, Anthony Thomas. The only reason I really have DeAnthony Thomas here, he is somebody that is going to be familiar with what Matt Nagy's system looks like here in Chicago, due to the fact that Matt Nagy actually coached DeAnthony Thomas over with the Kansas City Chiefs. Now look, you look at his numbers, they're not going to really jump off the page, and he's really, in all likelihood, a very, very, very poor man's Tariq Cohen, but he can come in and contribute, given that he is very familiar with the system that Matt Nagy runs here in Chicago. I do have an audience question for you as well. What are the over-under touchdown passes for Mitchell Trubisky in 2019? Type O for over 30 touchdown passes, type U for under 30 touchdown passes in the 2019 season. And finally, to the number 11 and 12 spots. At 11, I do have Morris Claiborne, excuse me. So look, we're making another trip, it seems like, to the New York Jets secondary from 2018. We already signed Buster Screen, and Morris Claiborne has been really a bust for all intensive purposes, as he was taken number 6 overall once upon a time in the NFL draft. But he did actually have a pretty solid season, graded out as a very average corner, and certainly could provide some depth for the Chicago Bears. Actually had a career-high 2 interceptions, which is very sad when you think about it. But bringing in Claiborne, it's something that I believe where you can just kind of roll him out there, similar to what I mentioned with Orlando Scandrick earlier. Just go ahead and bring him in for depth purposes. And finally, the last guy that I have on my list, number 12, is Captain Munnerlyn. Captain Munnerlyn spent a lot of time with the Carolina Panthers, signed with the Minnesota Vikings, then went back to the Carolina Panthers. Really a predominant slot guy throughout most of his career. Very physical cornerback, actually registered at least 2 sacks in each of the last 2 seasons, but really he's had a lot of struggles recently in coverage, and his coverage days his best coverage days are definitely beyond him. But to bring in another veteran guy, depth, can come in on nickel and dime situations, certainly you can do worse than Captain Munnerlyn. And that'll do it for this episode of the Bears Report here on Chat Sports. Sound off in the comments who you think the Chicago Bears should add of the remaining crop of the NFL free agents, if anyone. Go ahead again and sound off in the comments and let us know your thoughts. So until next time, bear down, Chicago Bears.